What's your biggest worry in life? This is a question I asked my students when I was taking a live session recently, and I was asking, hey, tell me something about what's going on in your life and so on, because of course, many of the students got their results recently, many of the students are getting admits, some are getting rejections and so on. So I was talking to them. And this was something which really broke my heart, because some of the responses which were really repeated by many of the students was that they are scared that they will not be able to live up to the expectations of their parents, not their own expectations, the expectations of their parents. I know this is a stereotype for many of the Asian parents and Indian parents that they have so many expectations of their children and so on. But I think the one thing which often gets really neglected is the idea that this really causes a lot of mental stress and a lot of mental torture on the students. Yes, it is also true that many times students end up taking a better path in their life because everybody around them is nagging them to study, to do something out of their life. But at the same time, it can also very easily go into a direction where it just becomes too much for a student. I remember that one of the movies that we absolutely loved in our teenage years and even early 20 years was 3 Idiots. This was pretty much the first movie which really put to the forefront what kind of mental problems and what kind of mental issues students face when they're going through this entire phase of engineering and trying to apply for different kind of colleges, not getting accepted and so on, and the expectations of the parents. That was a key theme if you would really closely watch the movie.
मेरा बेटा engineer बनेगा.
Farhan Qureshi, B.Tech engineer.
Essentially, it kind of showed the culture and it showed the trend that our society had at that time so accurately, and it resonated with so many people. And this is also why the movie became so popular. And unfortunately, things haven't really changed that much, right? You still have the same kind of propaganda happening, that is that the people who are older than you know better than whatever you are trying to do right now. And this is a big problem, because here's the thing, as soon as when I say something which is not normally told by your parents or something, I know many people start automatically associating that I hate my parents, or I hate everybody's parents, I hate my country, things like that. But I'm just giving you a different perspective, because if you want to just believe in whatever you're believing in right now, keep on believing it. I don't think your life is going to change anyways. And if you are completely happy with your life, you wouldn't be watching my video right now. You're watching my video because there's something stinging, there's something of a problem which you really want to resolve. You want some kind of clarification on that. So here's the story with keeping your parents' expectations at the very top. Most of us forget that parents are also just humans, right? They also made their mistakes. They also had their bad sides and their good sides. They also did things which they regretted afterwards. They made mistakes, and they also did some good things, which most of us tend to remember, right? We tend to remember any of the negative things, if at all they showed anything to us. And many times, the parents who have the highest expectations of their children are the ones who did not really do much in their life already. People who are accomplished, people who have done hard work, people who have made something out of themselves, they generally have a more sophisticated opinion of life than just, yeah, you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to prepare for IIT JEE, you're going to stay in India, you're going to apply for UPSC, IES and so on. They don't have that kind of simplistic thinking, most of them. On the other hand, the people who just were mediocre, who just who did not really do much in their own life, tend to impose these kind of pressure on their kids, because they couldn't make anything in their life. At least their kid should do something in his, because I'm giving you the opportunities, I'm giving you all of these resources and stuff, and make something out of your life. At the same time, if I tell you that at your parents' time too, many of them had decent resources. And this is the story with any kind of class, with any kind of group of people, that there are some people who are going to really excel in some things, especially if there's a particular task, and there are other people who are going to excel in other things, right? The entire point of me telling you to think for yourself, to think about your own life first, to think about your own desires, your own dreams, your own ambitions, is that at least you will not have these kind of regrets afterwards, because whatever kind of ideas you had in your life, you will be already working on them, and If it goes wrong, yeah, sucks. If it goes right, there's so much happiness which awaits you in the end. It's really true. Because what is the alternative? The alternative is you keep living your life based on somebody else's expectations, and towards the end, you wouldn't really have anything to show for. You wouldn't have lived any other life other than what was expected of you from somebody else who was not even in your own shoes, who was not feeling the mental stress, the despair, any kind of distress that you're having right now. Whatever I tell you all the time is essentially the idea of moving to a different place, right? For example, if you're in India, a set kind of people have some advantages, of course. And I mean, like, this is even like legal advantages. If you think about it, if you belong to the reserved category, of course, you have some advantages, right? Like, even if you're from a well-off family, which many of the students which were in my batch who came from reserved category, they were from well-off families. It wasn't like they needed reservation, but they still got reservation. So there are surroundings, there are countries in which you would see that a specific kind of people would be just promoted further, either because of the legal ways, either because of the society and so on. Also in India, for example, if you're going towards public services and stuff, like, that is anyways the focus for most of the people, that okay, like, we are going to do something in the government job and so on, so that our job is safe and we never really have to worry that somebody's going to fire us or not, right? So that's one kind of environment if you think about it. Then you have people going to US, and many people who go to US, they of course want to earn more money, they want to live a completely different life, they want to experience more things, and of course they are also many of those people who kind of believe in more practical learning. I mean, US also has some very, very big companies, interesting work culture and so on. But of course, the safety and stuff, I mean, like, these things really take a massive hit, especially if you think about how much violence has been there in US compared to many of the other countries. In Germany, for example, again, you have a completely different culture. You have a culture where even if you are not that talented, if you are able to do some kind of task properly, if you're able to put your head to that, and if you're sincere, you would still see the professors, the batchmates, and everybody around you supporting you in these kind of tasks. And it takes you further, right? Also, another interesting thing that I found was that most of the times people don't really tell you what you're supposed to do in your life. If you're fat, if you're bald, if you have glasses, things like that, nobody comes and gives you these kind of opinions. These things are very common in India, right? So different kind of countries, different kind of places, different kind of situations help excel one kind of people and kind of puts down the other kind of people. And the biggest thing that you are doing when you're moving from one country to the other is essentially you're giving yourself more options, you're giving yourself more chances. If you didn't succeed in one place, you can succeed in the other one. And this is such an underrated thing that most people simply don't understand. The idea is that if you are able to give yourself a perfect environment, if you're able to give yourself a perfect surrounding, where you don't really have to worry about the problems which are just putting unnecessary stress on your head, and can really focus on anything that you want to do in your life, that is going to be much more of a net positive for you to be able to add something positive to the society, to your own life, right? I think this is something you should really think about, because if you're living on somebody else's expectations, the kind of surroundings they expect you to be in might not be the exact same surroundings in which you will end up succeeding. There are different scenarios for different people, and of course this is the reason that generalizations can only hardly be made, but there are some truth to these kind of things, and you have to explore that. You just have to know that towards the end, you shouldn't be the person who is going to regret that, okay, I just got this one life, and this one life I completely ruined because I was living for everybody else other than for myself. Your parents have lived their lives. Your grandparents have lived their lives. Everybody has an opinion to give. Everybody has, you should do this, you should do that, and so on. And I can tell you right now from my experience, if I would have listened to any of those people, I wouldn't have come far at all. I would still be in India, doing my 12,000 Indian rupees per month job, working 6 days a week, and yeah, I think life would have been pretty stressful. Again, like, this is the part which really pisses me off, because people start pointing out that I try to paint India as a country where people cannot be happy. That is, again, not true at all. People who are happy, they're not watching my videos. People who are happy, they're not figuring out a solution to their problems. They're already happy, and of course, there are happy people everywhere. And there are people who are ambitious, who are trying to figure out a way, who just want some kind of guidance. I'm trying to speak to those people, because I knew in my time when I was, in the 12th grade and stuff, I didn't really get a great guidance. If I got it that time, maybe I would have built a different life for myself, maybe a little bit sooner. I would have been a little bit happier, who knows? Or maybe now, because I already spent the bachelor's in India, I appreciate things a little bit more. Maybe that's also a possibility, right? But I know that if there would be somebody I could watch and I could relate to, I could say, all right, this person kind of took the path that I'm trying to take. I would be thankful that he'd be kind of sharing his experience. And that's essentially what I'm trying to do here. Because I know there are people like me, my 16-year-old self and so on, who would be watching these videos and think, all right, if I can also do something like this in 10 years, that is going to be a nice life. And I don't have to listen to my parents. And again, any parent who are listening to this, I have absolutely nothing against parents. I love my parents. They gave me so many opportunities. They allowed me to go abroad. They actually financed the entire conference trip that I had back in the time when I met Alina. So they did a lot of things for me. I do not complain about those things at all. But I also know that many people make the mistake of just painting all the parents as these superhuman, unnatural beings who cannot say anything wrong, who cannot do anything wrong, and things like that, which is, of course, not the scenario. They're also human, just like you. They also made mistakes, just like you. They also have good expectations, false expectations from you, like you would have from somebody else. Remember that, okay? They're also people, but it is you who is living your own life. So make something out of it. Don't live it according to whatever else somebody else tells you to do.